4 trillion thunder rolls across the Deccan. Digital rupees dart like lightning. Highways glow like veins. Somewhere, anxious boardrooms in Brussels and Washington search maps they once colored red. And realize the center has moved. Today, at Curious Minds, we ask why old powers from Capitol Hill to Elysee Palace now treat New Delhi with, well, equal parts courtship and concern. From trade threats to lecture tours, we decode the nerves behind the noise. Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to unpack the complex layers of information, trying to bring you some clarity. Our mission today: to cut through all the noise surrounding India's rapid rise, we'll dig into the hard facts, the surprising shifts, and, the underlying reasons why this ancient civilization is now seen as both a crucial partner and a formidable challenge by those traditional global powers. We'll pull out the most important nuggets from the sources we've looked at, hopefully helping you understand the true nature of India's emerging global stature. When balance sheets boom, so do anxieties.
And perhaps unsurprisingly, the loudest anxieties often carry a foreign accent. It tends to work that way, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
And that sentiment, it speaks volumes, bringing us right to the heart of it all. Let's dive straight into the numbers, the kind of numbers that are undeniably keeping powerful capitals awake at night. India's economic trajectory, it's been nothing short of astonishing.
Absolutely. The GDP, the gross domestic product, has already soared past, $4.2 trillion?
Yeah, $4.2 trillion. Solidly the world's fourth largest economy right now.
Right. But what's really striking is where it's headed. The IMF, the International Monetary Fund, they're projecting that by just 2027.
That's only a few years away.
Exactly. India is set to leapfrog economic giants like Germany and Japan.
Wow.
Climbing to become the third largest globally. They're pegging that at $5.5 trillion.
$5.5 trillion by 2027. That's huge.
And the projections don't just stop there. Our sources suggest some experts believe it could reach, they use the word astonishing, $8 trillion by 2030.
$8 trillion.
And maybe even a staggering $30 trillion by 2050.
Okay, $30 trillion by 2050. That's hard to even wrap your head around, that kind of scale.
It really is. You're looking at an economy that could potentially dwarf the current sizes of many established global powers. And what's maybe even more remarkable than just the raw figures is the sheer pace of this growth.
Look at the speed of it.
Consider 2022. Global GDP grew by, 2.1%, China by 3%, the EU around 3.5%.
Okay, pretty modest growth globally.
Yeah. And India. It surged ahead with a remarkable 7% growth rate.
7%. That's phenomenal.
It really is. And this isn't just a one-off bump, It's a sustained, powerful surge. It's consistently outpaced major global economies, which indicates a fundamental shift in its economic engine.
And it's a surge that's having real tangible impacts on its people, right? We're not just talking abstract numbers here.
Absolutely not. This growth has real-world consequences for hundreds of millions. One of the most significant impacts, and something that frankly often gets overlooked in the bigger economic discussions, is the monumental achievement in poverty reduction.
Okay.
In the last decade alone, the current Indian government has lifted an astounding 250 million people out of poverty.
250 million.
Yeah.
A quarter of a billion people.
Think about that for a moment. Pulled from the brink of extreme poverty.
How did they manage that? It wasn't just handouts, surely.
No, not at all. It was a result of targeted economic reforms, much better access to basic services, and crucially, the widespread adoption of digital infrastructure.
Ah, the digital piece.
Yeah. That facilitated things like direct benefit transfers, cutting out leaks. This shift hasn't just increased consumption. It's ignited entrepreneurship, boosted social mobility. It's fundamentally transformed the domestic dynamics.
Which in turn makes India stronger internally and, I suppose, a more attractive global partner.
Precisely. It's growth that transforms lives on a massive scale. A really powerful story.
Okay, beyond these impressive traditional economic metrics, India is also showing some truly groundbreaking leadership in the digital economy. It feels like they're almost leapfrogging the West in certain crucial areas. Take 5G, for instance.
That's a perfect example. India boasts the world's fastest 5G rollout.
Fastest in the world. That's remarkable given the scale.
It really is, considering the population density and sheer size. But perhaps even more impactful globally is the development of India's real-time payments grid. UPI, the Unified Payments Interface.
UPI, right? We hear a lot about that.
And for good reason. This isn't just another payment system. It's the world's largest real-time digital payment system. It's revolutionized transactions for hundreds of millions.
It makes it so revolutionary.
Well, its underlying philosophy is key. It's built on open source, interoperable protocols. That allows for a lean, scalable digital infrastructure that has effectively bypassed many legacy Western systems.
So while the West is dealing with older, maybe clunkier systems.
Yeah, often with multi-layered processes, high transaction fees. UPI operates on a zero merchant discount rate model, zero MDR.
Meaning no transaction fees for merchants.
Exactly. And that unique feature just accelerated its adoption like wildfire. From street vendors to large businesses, everyone's using it. It's become a powerful model for financial inclusion that, honestly, many developed nations are still striving to emulate.
So it's not just fast. It's incredibly accessible and efficient, creating a genuinely inclusive financial ecosystem.
Precisely. And it doesn't stop with payments. India has also built Aadhaar,
Aadhaar, the digital identity system.
the world's largest biometric digital identity system, connecting over 1 billion people in record time.
Just imagine the logistics of that.
Yeah.
Biometrics for over 1 billion people.
It's staggering. But this digital public infrastructure UPI, Aadhaar, it forms this powerful foundation. It allows for direct benefit transfers, ensures subsidies reach the right people without leakage, streamlines service delivery.
Built quickly and cost-effectively too, right? Using mobile tech.
Exactly. Often with cost-efficient approaches, focusing on a mobile-first strategy, leveraging India's huge smartphone penetration to bypass the need for more expensive traditional infrastructure.
Now here's a really fascinating, almost hidden aspect of India's financial power we found in the sources. It's silent financial shield, which is literally gold.
Ah, yes. The gold. It's truly a unique characteristic of the Indian economy and culture. Speaks to deep historical trust, doesn't it?
It seems so. How much are we talking about?
India's households are estimated to hold over 25,000 metric tons of gold, privately held.
25,000 tons.
Yeah.
That's mind-boggling. How does that compare globally?
It dwarfs the combined official reserves of the United States, Europe, and even the IMF.
Wow, so this isn't just a statistic.
No, it's deeply woven into the cultural fabric. Gold serves as security, as heritage passed down through generations, and as a silent, powerful financial reserve.
And they keep importing more.
Hundreds of tons annually. Primarily driven by cultural events, especially weddings. Weddings alone consume maybe 700 to 800 tons a year.
So this vast privately held gold reserve acts like a hidden cushion for the economy.
Absolutely. A de facto financial cushion. It adds a layer of stability and resilience that, conventional balance sheets might not fully capture. It's like this unique form of decentralized wealth management operating outside traditional Western models, but profoundly impacting stability, especially during global financial jitters.
Okay, so with all these incredible numbers, this rapid growth, this digital leapfrogging, and this almost hidden financial power from gold.
Yeah.
You'd think the West would be lining up to celebrate India, wouldn't you? Like cheerleaders, not critics.
One might think so, but as one of our sources, Jeffrey Sachs, suggests, there's perhaps a neurotic reaction from the United States to other economies rising.
A neurotic reaction, that's strong wording.
Well, his point is that the underlying belief in Washington has been an expectation for the U.S. to be number one forever, a kind of hegemonic mindset built up over decades.
Right.
And this perspective struggles intensely with the idea that other more populous nations could become economic giants. I mean, the U.S. has 335 million people. It just can't match the demographic scale of India.
So it's not just about competition, it's about the hierarchy shifting.
Exactly. Sachs predicts the U.S. will come to resent India as it overtakes them, much like its current view of China. This anxiety, he argues, isn't just economic. It's about a perceived disruption to a long-held global order, a deep-seated discomfort, almost an ideological clash with India's rise.
It seems that economic might is just one piece of the puzzle then. India's strategic autonomy is another. And its proof is increasingly evident not just in boardrooms, but on the battlefield and in space.
Definitely. We're talking about Atmanirbharat.
Atmanirbharat, the drive for self-reliance.
That's a crucial point. This principle is absolutely core to India's strategic evolution. It's a focused, ambitious effort to achieve self-sufficiency in critical sectors: space, defense, digital tech.
The aim being to reduce dependence, assert sovereignty.
Precisely. To ensure India charts its own course without being dictated to. It's not just about making things at home. It's about cultivating indigenous capabilities that reinforce national interests and independence across the board.
And nowhere is this clearer than with ISRO, the Indian Space Research Organization. Their triumphs are genuinely astounding, especially considering the budgets.
ISRO has absolutely cemented India's place as an independent and highly capable space power. Their achievements are remarkable, not just technically, but for their incredible cost effectiveness.
Like the Mars mission, Mongolian.
Mongolian, back in 2013, India became the first Asian nation to reach Mars orbit on its first attempt, only the fourth space agency globally to do it.
First attempt. That's incredible.
And then, more recently, Chandrayaan-3, etching India's name in history as the first nation to successfully land on the moon's south pole, a region no one had conquered before.
Monumental feats. And done on a shoestring, relatively speaking.
Often with budgets lower than Hollywood films spend. It highlights India's unique ability to innovate and execute with limited resources. They're a leader in affordable space access.
They've developed other key tech too, right? Docking, navigation.
Yes, indigenous docking technology, their own navigation system. It all underscores this commitment to true self-reliance, complete control over their space assets.
That's a very clear signal of independence. And this drive for self-reliance is also transforming India's defense industry, moving beyond just being a buyer.
Oh, absolutely. A dramatic and profound transformation. They are now developing their own advanced weaponry from the ground up.
Like the Tejas fighter jet.
Exactly. The Tejas, which is now in active service. Also producing their own submarines, military vehicles like the Arjun tank. They field the Pinaka multi-barrel rocket launcher system.
And they have nuclear capabilities too.
Yes, India is a nuclear-armed nation, with ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles capable of reaching targets thousands of kilometers away, projecting strategic deterrence.
And ASAT weapons, anti-satellite.
They possess those too, yes. Capable of taking down communication systems, it demonstrates a comprehensive advanced defense capability. This homegrown defense industrial base allows India to operate from a position of strength and self-sufficiency.
And it's not just for their own use anymore, right? They're actually becoming a significant global exporter of arms. That's a huge shift.
That's a crucial and transformative shift. India is rapidly becoming one of the world's larger arms exporters, supplying sophisticated military equipment to various countries.
Like the BrahMos missiles.
A prime example is exporting the formidable BrahMos missiles to Manila in the Philippines, a significant milestone for defense exports to Southeast Asia.
So it's revenue, but also status, establishing India as a credible defense partner.
Exactly. It speaks volumes about the maturity and confidence of their defense manufacturing base. Reinforces strategic autonomy, reduces historical reliance on just a few suppliers.
This independent defense posture seems guided by a clear philosophy, though. Powerful, but with restraint.
Precisely. India rarely initiates conflict. Its military strength is characterized by a strong sense of moral restraint, a commitment to stability.
The no-first-use nuclear policy fits into that.
Yes. It signals capacity and capability without aggressive intent. It reflects a philosophical stance that true power lies in responsible deployment and deterrence, not preemption. It's a mature approach, born of confidence, not vulnerability.
And this extends to procurement decisions, like the famous rejection of the F-35 fighter jet.
A perfect illustration. India rejected the F-35 offer specifically because it came without access to the crucial source code.
Meaning no full tech transfer or co-production.
Which is a non-starter for New Delhi. India is unwilling to accept deals that create long-term dependence or limit its ability to maintain, upgrade, or even reverse engineer critical assets.
And they're annoyed about delivery delays on other orders, too.
Quite notably, yes. They're miffed by delayed deliveries, which further fuels this drive for self-reliance and pushes them toward diversifying suppliers and boosting indigenous development. India isn't just looking for hardware. It demands technology, IP, the ability to build on its own terms.
Okay, so all of this plays out on a really complex global chessboard. India maintains relations with everyone, it seems. Even those sanctioned by the West, like Russia. How do they manage that balancing act?
That's India's strategic autonomy in full display. They smartly maintain good relations with Russia, for example, continuing to buy cheap Russian crude oil despite significant Western sanctions.
Which isn't an endorsement of conflict, but more about energy security.
Exactly. It's a pragmatic reflection of India's principle of strategic autonomy, prioritizing its own energy security and long-term national interests over blindly aligning with any single bloc or succumbing to external pressure.
Operating on its own terms.
Engaging with all global powers, but refusing to surrender its voice or become become anyone's satellite. And this approach, as Jeffrey Sachs highlights, apparently drives Western policymakers absolutely mad.
Why mad?
Because they're accustomed to transactional loyalty, zero-sum choices, a concept India simply doesn't subscribe to.
So, from India's perspective, who is the primary long-term threat in this landscape?
From India's viewpoint, the primary long-term threat is undoubtedly China.
Primarily along the border, the Himalayas.
Yes, that's a major concern. Conflicts have occurred there, tensions remain exceptionally high, there's a persistent danger. Secondly, there's growing apprehension about China's developing blue water navy and its expanding presence in the Indian Ocean.
China projecting power far beyond its shores.
Right, establishing power projection capabilities from East Asia through the Straits of Malacca deep into the Indian Ocean. India sees this as a direct threat to its maritime security and regional influence.
But this shared concern about China brings India and the U.S. closer sometimes on maritime security.
It often does, yes, through things like joint naval exercises. But it's crucial to understand this alignment comes from shared strategic interests in a specific domain, not a full-fledged alliance.
Not an ally, but a superpower with its own interests.
Exactly as Jeffrey Sachs puts it. He calls the idea of India fully allying with the U.S. against China a delusion in Washington. It underscores India's steadfast commitment to its independent foreign policy.
Which brings us perfectly to how India masterfully navigates this complex web of global diplomacy, going far beyond a simple East versus West alignment. It's really fascinating to observe this multi-alignment in action.
Indeed. India masterfully balances its participation in a remarkably diverse set of global groups. It showcases what you could call multidimensional statecraft.
Like being in BRICS.
Right, alongside Brazil, Russia, China, South Africa, a group they've actively worked to expand into BRICS plus food.
But also being a key partner in the Quad.
Simultaneously.
Yeah.
In the Quad with the U.S., Japan, and Australia focusing on innovation, maritime security, stability in the Indo-Pacific.
So buying oil from Iran and Russia, signing defense deals with France, working on AI with the U.S., all at the same time.
Precisely. This multi-alignment means India engages with virtually everyone, but crucially, it refuses to be used or become a permanent host or, a junior partner to any single power bloc. It's about maximizing strategic flexibility and national interest, not rigid ideology or Cold War binaries.
And this influence isn't just diplomatic, it's economic too. Shaping trade, creating alternative financial paths.
Absolutely. Deeply into global trade and finance, pioneering initiatives like the rupee dirham oil trade,
Bypassing the dollar.
allowing direct transactions without relying on the U.S. dollar, and UPI link-ups expanding rapidly into ASEAN countries. These moves foster economic ties that actively bypass traditional Western financial systems, asserting economic sovereignty.
A quiet reshaping of financial flows.
And you also see India practicing African vaccine diplomacy, building goodwill through humanitarian efforts, not just transactional relationships or hard power. It's a broad approach.
Despite this clear assertion of its own path, its rising stature, India often faces significant criticism from Western institutions. Democracy, governance. How does India handle that external scrutiny?
That's a significant, often contentious point of friction. Western institutions like Freedom House, VDM in Sweden have indeed placed India in categories like almost a non-democracy.
Based on what concerns?
Their critiques often cite concerns over perceived authoritarian tendencies, specifically the treatment of Muslims in India. They highlight perceived reductions in the independence of courts, the press, often framing India's internal affairs as deviating from Western liberal democratic norms.
In India's response, it sounds like they have a very firm counter-narrative.
They do.
Yeah.
Very direct, unapologetic. India asserts its unequivocal right to operate under its own house, own rule.
Own house, own rules.
Yeah. The External Affairs Minister, Jaishankar, has explicitly stated that while others comment on India, India has every right to comment on your comment.
Pointing out issues elsewhere, like racism or gun violence in the U.S.
Exactly. Questioning the selective application of foreign interference and moral lectures. India's stance is interventionist commentary is interference, regardless of who it's from, and hypocrisy isn't lost on them.
And internally, despite this criticism, Modi remains popular.
That's what's often missed externally. He remains very popular. Polls consistently suggest voters reward delivery over deference, indicating significant public consent for his governance style, a preference for tangible results over external validation. It highlights a fundamental disconnect between external perceptions and internal support.
So these frictions naturally lead to some very pointed interactions, like the Trump-era tariff tantrums you mentioned.
Yes, the Trump administration applied significant pressure, steep 25% tariffs on Indian goods, targeting sensitive sectors like agriculture and dairy, which employs a huge part of the workforce.
Seen as sour grapes, because India was a tough negotiator.
Widely seen that way, yes. India proved tough, unwilling to bend the knee on core interests. Trump's team also expressed frustration over India buying Russian oil and reselling refined products, threatening further sanctions.
Which India saw as a flip-flop, undermining relations.
Perceived that way, yes. Especially as it introduced new demands late in trade talks, risking progress made on U.S.-India relations.
And India's calculation for continuing with Russian oil seems purely pragmatic. Economic reality.
Entirely pragmatic, a matter of national economic security. India calculates that stopping Russian oil would instantly raise global prices, maybe by $10, maybe even hitting $140 a barrel. It would significantly hike its own import bill by billions annually.
So a clear economic rationale, prioritizing energy security.
Absolutely. New Delhi adopted a calm and measured response to the pressure, focusing squarely on long-term national interests, avoiding knee-jerk concessions, strategic patience, knowing they had options.
And those options are quite substantial. India has leverage.
Not at all powerless, a broad spectrum of options. On trade, retaliatory tariffs on U.S. steel aluminum remain possible.
Defense deals could be affected.
Trump's actions may have already killed any F-35 prospect. Other deals could be jeopardized, especially given frustration over delivery delays.
What about tech?
India could impose duties on U.S. tech giants, launch antitrust probes, tighten data sovereignty laws, affecting major players. Even in education, India sends huge numbers of students to costly U.S. universities. They could redirect that investment elsewhere strategically.
So continued Western pressure could inadvertently push India closer to other powers, cause realignments.
Precisely. It could inadvertently revive the Russia-India-China, or RAI trilateral. It could strengthen BRICS, lead to a more assertive India in the Indo-Pacific, working with partners like Japan, Australia, Indonesia, the Philippines.
But independent of a U.S.-led approach.
Crucially, yes, independent of a U.S.-led zero-sum great power rivalry. From India's strategic perspective, American support is seen as potentially transient, shifting with politics, while the Chinese threat is permanent, a geographical, historical reality. This view profoundly shapes India's strategy.
Old capitals send cautionary cables.
New Delhi replies with export invoices and launch trajectories. It's a very different kind of conversation happening now.
And the foundation for New Delhi's confident replies is literally being built from the ground up. This massive infrastructure revolution, building a new operating system for the country.
That's an excellent way to put it. India is undertaking a truly massive 10 lakh crore infrastructure plan, roughly $100 billion, and it's already ready in motion.
Not just roads and bridges.
No, it's about laying the entire backbone to become the headquarters of the global economy. A comprehensive, interconnected system.
Like the highway network, the scale sounds incredible.
It is. 1.4 lakh kilometers. Construction surged 143% since 2014-15, hitting an average of 28.3 kilometers per day recently.
Per day?
The national highway network expanded 60% from 2014 to 2024. Now over 6.6 million kilometers, the largest road network on the planet. They even hold the Guinness World Record for fastest road construction, 100 kilometers of expressway in 100 hours.
Unprecedented speed and scale. And it's not just roads, right? Connecting cities with mass transit.
Indeed. India now boasts the world's second largest metro system. Over 100 cities have metro networks now. A huge leap from just 250 kilometers back in 2014. Transforming urban mobility, cutting congestion.
What about airports, aviation?
Airport capacity has effectively doubled, from 74 to 159 operational airports. New greenfield airports like Jewar near Delhi are massive, designed not just for passengers, but to make India a global hub for air cargo, MRO maintenance, repair, overhaul.
Critical services for aircraft.
Yes, and even aviation manufacturing. This strategy has propelled India's aviation sector to be the third largest globally, bolstering connectivity and trade.
Sounds like they're really thinking about integrated logistics, moving goods efficiently.
Absolutely. Building dedicated freight corridors, specialized railway lines just for goods. Projects like the Eastern and Western corridors, over 2,500 kilometers operational or nearly done.
Designed for speed, faster than regular freight trains.
Up to 100 kilometers per hour, nearly twice as fast. Dramatically cutting delivery times, maybe by 40%, lowering logistics costs. And through the Sagarmala project, ports are being modernized into efficient terminals.
Improving port efficiency, too. Ship turnaround time.
Dropped by half, from 96 hours in 2015 to 46 hours in 2024, aiming to match East Asian benchmarks.
So this isn't just better infrastructure, it's a fundamental shift from service provider to becoming a platform.
That's the critical strategic insight. It's not just about connectivity, it's about control over trade, logistics, timelines. India is consciously shifting from being mainly a service provider, back office support, to becoming a platform, a central hub where capital is routed, businesses launched, supply chains begin and end.
Everything interconnected. Highways, corridors, ports, airports, metros.
Designed to seamlessly plug into a larger national distribution system, lowering friction, reducing transit times, fundamentally raising India's value in global supply chains, making it an indispensable hub.
And this ambition seems to culminate in projects like Gift City. Tell us about this prototype for global finance.
Gift City, the Gujarat International Finance Tech City. It is indeed a prototype of what India wants to build, a full-spectrum financial ecosystem designed not just to plug into global finance, but to host it, draw it in.
How does it work differently?
It operates as an independent financial jurisdiction, its own unified regulator, the IFSCA International Financial Services Centers Authority, designed to cut red tape, streamline things for global players.
Allows dollar banking.
Yeah.
Offshore funds.
Yes, dollar-denominated banking, so businesses avoid currency conversion risk, attracts foreign capital directly, facilitates offshore funds, international stock trading from within India, and the incentives are really attractive.
Like what? Zero tax?
0% GST, conditional zero capital gains tax, zero security transaction tax, a 10-year corporate tax holiday, very competitive globally.
Is it actually attracting business? Or still an aspiration?
Oh, it's having a major measurable impact. In 2023, Singapore officially moved its SGX Nifty derivatives billions in daily trading volume to Gift City.
That's a huge vote of confidence.
Massive. Over 740 financial entities are registered now. Banking assets over $78 billion. Global giants like JP Morgan, HSBC have opened branches. Investment funds are choosing Gift City over places like Mauritius.
Are there still challenges, though?
Yes, some remain. Global investors want absolute legal clarity, faster dispute resolution under international arbitration norms like English common law. India is working on that.
Coordination between regulators.
Can still cause occasional delays, though the unified IFSCA helps a lot. And attracting top global talent requires high-class schools, hospitals, a global lifestyle. Gift City is actively developing those aspects, too, to be a thriving urban center, not just a financial zone.
So, as India builds this impressive infrastructure, are we seeing a tangible shift? Manufacturing, supply chains actually moving into the country? Is it becoming the next factory floor?
Yes, there's a definite accelerating shift. India is already the world's 5th largest manufacturer by output, so a substantial base already exists.
And big global companies are setting up shop. Apple, Tesla, Micron.
Increasingly, yes. Driven by India's growing market, improving infrastructure, and key policy shifts. It's interesting how India's protective tariffs are shifting from being a wall to keep goods out to becoming a magnet drawing manufacturing in.
So instead of importing finished goods, companies build locally to bypass tariffs.
Exactly, that's the incentive. Google's building its second largest campus in Hyderabad. Foxconn's opening a major facility in Noida for Apple products. It shows growing confidence in India as a strategic manufacturing destination.
But I've also heard India has some of the highest tariffs globally. Doesn't that contradict the ambition to be a major hub, especially for complex supply chains?
That's a very sharp point. And a significant challenge. India is described as the highest tariff country in the world, along with Brazil. This protectionism, particularly on intermediate goods, the components, the parts,
Can hinder competitiveness?
it definitely can. Apple, for instance, needed a special deal to lower tariffs on components to make iPhone production competitive there. Without deals like that, high tariffs on parts can make the final products made in India more expensive than elsewhere, undermining competitiveness.
So, for India to truly become the next China in manufacturing,
It likely needs to open itself up more to the world, be less protectionist on those intermediate goods. Manufacturing today is global assembly. High tariffs on components make final products uncompetitive globally. Attracting big names is great, but broader liberalization on intermediate goods seems crucial for full-scale growth.
Okay, moving from manufacturing lines to the farmlands, we need to talk about food, farmers, and what India considers its agricultural red line. This isn't just an economic sector, is it?
No, it's foundational, profoundly so. Agriculture is the backbone for a staggering portion of the population. 45% of the workforce is in agriculture.
Feeding 1.4 billion people?
A monumental task. And this is where a significant gap in expectations often arises. India is rapidly becoming a global leader in green energy, world's third largest producer of renewables already.
A huge target.
Over 180 GW installed, aiming for an incredibly ambitious 500 GW by 2030. A monumental undertaking. It's leading a silent revolution in electric vehicles, too, aiming for 30% EVs by 2030. Huge fleets of electric buses, two-wheelers already there, Tesla setting up.
Championing Solar Alliance's green hydrogen.
Yes, the International Solar Alliance, investing heavily in green hydrogen. Despite these truly significant proactive efforts, substantial given its development needs and population, the West frequently demands more. Often, perhaps without fully acknowledging the scale of India's green initiatives in context, especially compared to historical emissions by developed nations.
So, from the economy, infrastructure, agriculture, India's rise is tangible, undeniable. But there's another layer, right? Cultural soft power, intellectual, digital dominance spreading globally.
This is truly unique, almost subtle. Indian culture spreads globally, as one source said, without needing aggressive promotion or military might. It just walks through every border uninvited, integrating naturally.
Like yoga and meditation.
Exactly. Now ubiquitous. Found in NATO gyms, practiced by millions worldwide, an antidote to modern anxiety, positioning India as a spiritual lighthouse for the world, quietly influencing well-being globally.
And Bollywood, of course, its massive global footprint.
Absolutely. World's largest film industry by volume, influences fashion, music, cinema across continents, Legos, Europe, the Americas. Its vibrant storytelling, music, universal themes transcend language barriers.
Food, too. Indian cuisine is everywhere.
Dominates global cuisine, a staple everywhere. And Indian philosophy, concepts like karma, dharma, studied in Ivy League schools influencing millions, deep engagement with Indian intellectual traditions.
What about India's incredible diversity, often framed as a challenge? Is it actually a strength?
Profoundly a core strength, not a weakness. Critical for understanding India's resilience. This vibrant mosaic of religions, cultures, languages, traditions, Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Sikhism, Buddhism, Jainism, over 1,600 languages.
It's a source of adaptability.
A crucial factor in its enduring resilience and adaptability. This celebration of coexistence, unity, and difference is a unique democratic endurance the West often struggles to grasp. India holds contradictions, navigates complexity, maintains cohesion despite immense diversity, absorbs shocks, integrates viewpoints, adapts without fracturing. Few nations can replicate that inner strength.
And beyond culture, the argument that Indian minds are powering global tech.
The evidence is compelling. Indian origin CEOs leading Google, Microsoft, IBM, Adobe, leadership at the highest levels. Silicon Valley quietly depends on AIT graduates, Indian engineers, coders.
Powering AI, blockchain.
The unsung heroes. It's argued the West is running on Indian brain power, the infrastructure of their future being quietly built by minds trained in humility, discipline, scarcity, and resilience, a fundamental reliance on India's human capital.
And the diaspora's impact. Remittances.
Tens of millions globally, remitting maybe $100 billion a year back to India, spreading curry, code, and karma, reinforcing deep economic and cultural ties.
And within India, the startup ecosystem is exploding.
Indeed. Third largest hub for unicorn startups globally. Thriving across fintech, e-commerce, edtech, health tech, renewables, massive homegrown innovation and ambition.
Suggesting a unique cognitive agility.
Exactly. The Indian mind is so hard to predict because it's wired to hold contradictions, navigate complexity, embraces paradox, adapts without ego, thrives in perceived chaos. Kids often grow up multilingual, navigating different value systems, fostering multi-layered intelligence, very adaptable.
Old capitals send cautionary cables.
New Delhi replies with export invoices and launch trajectories.
It's clear this rapid rise hasn't been without pushback. The West, accustomed to a certain order, is struggling with India's fierce independence. Let's delve into how India responds to direct pressures. Those Trump-era tariff tantrums. Subtler European measures.
Tariff tantrums is apt for the Trump-era tactics. High tariffs, 25%. Publicly mocking India's economy is dead, demanding India stop Russian oil purchases. Widely seen as sour grapes because India was a tough negotiator, unwilling to bend the knee.
And resented as overreach.
Deeply. Similar, maybe less overt, pressures from Europe, EU carbon walls, tariffs based on climate policies, UK visa brinkmanship using visa rules as leverage, broader attempts to influence a rising power that refuses to conform.
And it's not just economic pressure. Western media's homilies on free speech, scrutinizing internal affairs. How does India frame its response?
A significant friction point. Western media often engages in what India sees as lecturing on free speech, democratic norms, often critically. India's response,
Right.
firm, uncompromising, own house, own rules.
Pushing back on perceived interference and lecturing.
Strongly. Asserting its right to comment on others' democracies, just as they comment on India's. Demanding mutual respect. Pointedly questioning selective critiques, highlighting issues like racism or gun violence in the U.S. when Western entities comment on India's governance. A growing self-confidence and unwillingness to be lectured to.
This firm stance seems rooted in assertive patriotism, especially under Modi, almost like the public demands this strong leadership.
Absolutely. Modi is often seen as the tip of the arrow. His enduring popularity, polls rewarding delivery over deference, signifies a public mandate for a strong, uncompromising foreign policy, prioritizing Indian interests and sovereignty.
Like his comment about no foreign leader telling him what to do.
Exactly, explicitly stating, no foreign leader told him to stop Operation Suitor. A clear demonstration of independence, unwillingness to be swayed by external dictates. India is no longer interested in being a follower, a footnote in someone else's story.
Writing its own chapter.
Decisively, in its own languages, for its own people first.
Right.
Prioritizing dignity, sovereignty, respect over Western validation.
It sounds like the West struggles because they can't predict or control India's unique resilience, their third path.
That's precisely it. The West struggles to influence India predictably because it can't deal with India's level of unpredictable resilience. India operates on its own terms, engages pragmatically with everyone, Russia, China, US, Iran, France, but adamantly refuses to surrender its voice or be anyone's satellite.
This strategic autonomy drives them absolutely mad.
Because they're used to transactional loyalty, clear alignment, concepts alien to India's long-term, self-interested approach. They expect a side that India just won't offer.
So while the West sees a binary, with us or against us,
India stands firm in its third path. We are with ourselves. This position makes India unshakable, charting a course, yes to growth, no to domination, a philosophy born from history, resilience, a deep understanding of its unique civilizational identity.
the lecture circuit is broken. The scoreboard isn't. 1 billion-plus citizens have traded apology for ambition, and every time a distant power points a finger, India lifts another rocket, another roof, another village.
You know, this deep dive really shows us that India's rise isn't just about economics or military might. It's a profound reassertion of a unique civilizational identity, a fundamentally different approach to global power. Maybe the true fear the West feels isn't just about India's growing strength, but that unsettling realization that its own traditional models of progress, power, even democracy are being challenged by India's different, yet clearly effective, approach.
Thank you for being on this trip with us. Stay curious, stay grounded, and stay tuned for the next one.